Yeah, so that's been like really cool. It's like outdoor training has been super helpful because one, it's just like the vibe lifts up a lot. You know what I mean? Like you're
Yep.
stuck in this stuffy little facility with a couple people that are so far apart. So outdoor training has been really cool. But a lot of the athletes are getting back in, so it's really cool to have like our strength coaches back and like have people kind of like walking around the facility more like chill. And I've been
Mhm.
training outdoors like the whole like last 2 weeks. It's like way more fun. The weather's amazing. Bring a barbell
Oh, yeah.
outside, like bring some weights out. So it's pretty straight.
Feel a breeze, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. You guys ever swing horse outside and try that kind of stuff when you were younger?
We did not when I was younger. We did in college once.
Mm.
Mark brought the pommel horse and the mats out, and we had like a team horse inner squad, and we did awful. And he was like, "Never again."
We used to try to get like a pommel or like we call it a black beauty, like it's just the low horse and just the buck horse outside, and it was like almost like hot lava. It was like truth or death. That's like 15 minutes. If you touched the panel mat, like you were roasted.
Yeah,
So if you like fell off on a flare or fell off on a Russian, like you just scorched your back, and it was like
super
incentive to
hot.
stay on, but probably borderline on like not safe practices. Just get blisters all over.
Yeah, but I've seen like a lot of people with the quarantine doing full pommel horse outside, like in
Yeah.
their backyard, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't think the leather heats up that much, right? Like, especially if you have like suede top, it should be fine.
Yeah, I think it should be okay as long as you're not like leaving it outside.
I think it gets tricky with sweat in your hands, and like you got to wear wrist wraps probably just to get the sweat from like the chalk will make it all slippery.
Yeah.
That's sweet. But yeah, man. So how's everything been going? How's like return to quarantine type stuff? How's like training going back? Like that's clearly what I want to know first.
Yeah, it's good. At first, it was like just trying to get through the week, right? So
Yeah.
like week one, I actually woke up on Friday morning and I tried to sit out of bed and I like could not do a sit up. I was like, oh my goodness,
Because of your neck, right? Not your stomach.
it's my stomach, my
Oh yeah.
neck, everything. And so I'm like rolling out of bed on the side like an 80-year-old man, and I'm like, I can't go into gym today. Like I can't even get out of bed. So obviously I've progressed, from the first week, and so now we're at the point where I feel good.
Mm.
Skills are back, and now it's just like a matter of like getting back into half routine and routine shape, or at least core routine shape,
Mm-hmm.
and then trying to find little things to get better.
Yeah.
Because
How long
we're
you
now past. Sorry, say again.
How long you been back? Sorry, just to give time reference.
Um, I think 6 full weeks now.
Cool.
So a pretty good amount of time. And honestly, the first 2 to 3 weeks were just like trying to get through the week,
Yeah.
get the skills back. And now I'm at the point where I've progressed and I can try and work and get better, work on some new skills, getting stronger. So really enjoying where I'm at right now.
Nice. And what was it like? What was the hardest part? What was the easiest part? Because I think a lot of people listening probably now in jail world, they're probably like starting week one or in like week 2 or 3. So like, what was the hardest part? What was the easiest part? What was surprising?
The hardest part was skills and sequences that used to be like easy.
Mm.
So like, my high bar warm up used to be super easy. I would go into it first turn. It would take me 2 or 3 turns to do that warm up.
Yep.
Strength and conditioning, not even just like ring strength, but just like the ability to like support yourself on P bars, doing 2 or 3 skills in a row felt harder.
Yeah.
So it was really like, it was like mentally tough knowing that all of these things that used to be really easy are now a little harder.
Yeah.
You just got to keep pushing, keep working. And, a lot of times I think, okay, the situation we're in right now is going to be forever, but you got to know it's not.
Right.
And you have to just slowly keep progressing.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. And I think that, I don't know, did you have like fear of like getting back to some of the bigger skills and stuff? Because I think a lot of people I'm talking to now are like that first back handspring lat step out, that first, like some guys are like, I don't want to swing high bar right now. Like my Kovacs or my Tkachev feels real nerve wracking right now.
Yeah. I would say it took me probably 5 weeks to catch Casina on high bar. Just because I was either getting the mat slid in or I would touch the bar and just kind of like not hold on. Yeah. And just like that mental block, getting over it, getting comfortable with it again. And I would say like, even like P-bar dismounts, just like flipping twice in the air. Yeah. You don't do it for 2 or 3 months. You slowly start to lose that muscle memory. So you got to kind of teach yourself again. So definitely some fear. That's why I wanted to take it slow. So I wasn't doing anything that I wasn't comfortable with and risking injury, because, it's long game. right? Nobody has a competition in a month or 2 months. So,
or possibly this season. Not for you.
Exactly.
But yeah.
Exactly. So slow and steady is going to win the race.
Yeah. And I was talking to Tom Meadows and I were texting back quite a bit back and forth. And he was saying that definitely all the quarantine workouts and like pushing the guys there helped a lot. But he was saying like, I think he planned out like, and I don't want to quote this, but I think he was like 4 to 5 weeks is like what he was kind of mapping out at his ramp. And he was like, the guys, like we took those first 2 weeks to really go slow, but then like 3, 4, it started to kind of show up. And he said a lot of his guys were actually better, felt better. Joints didn't hurt as much. Like they were feeling really good. And it was curious to me because someone obviously is him who's gone through so many years of just like a grind. It was cool to hear how he's changed. And it sounds like they're doing really well.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, a lot of my body parts that were like aching at Winter Cup, because we were pushing, doing routines, a lot of numbers, and just kind of wear and tear on the body. A lot of it like feels better. Like my ankles feel good, my elbows feel good, and it actually makes you wonder. Like you always think when you're in the grind, if I take a day off or 2 days off, I'm going to lose all this progress. But obviously 2 months isn't ideal, but it just goes to show you that time off does heal your body. It does help.
Yeah, this is totally something I want to dig into now because before the quarantine, like, man, there's so much research and we're finishing a research paper right now that's coming out and I can't talk too much about it until it's published, but we're looking at people who specialize early and do year-round training in the level 10 elite world and what their health status looks like in college. Do they have a career-ending injury? Do they need a surgery? And what happens after? And it's really surprising about who specializes early and does year-round training. And it's always been this tug of war, I think, between, old school coaches, me as a younger athlete about like, you can't take more than a week or 2 off per year because you'll lose your skills, all your strength will go down the crapper, like all this kind of stuff. But then like the literature world, every other sport takes like not 3 months off. I think that's obviously going to be way too much, like a month, right? Like 2 weeks of no training at all after nationals, for example. And then maybe like 2 weeks of cross training or virtual training, or just go like outdoors and do fitness stuff. And like, I think people are so scared of a month-ish off that nobody wants to do it. But like, I don't know, man. Simone's doing triple doubles into the pit pretty casually right now. She's a freak, but a lot of people are doing A-okay after 3 months. And I'm curious your opinion because you've clearly been at the highest caliber. If you think that this will change the structure of our seasons, our years moving forward.
Well, it's definitely like impacted my just like mentality because I think in the last 2 to 3 years, I've never taken more than like 2 days off.
Yeah.
Like that is the max. After like 2 days, I'm like, okay, I'm ready to get back in the gym and get back to work. And now seeing that, I can take 3 months off, still do stuff at home, still work out, still, live a healthy life, but I can come back and get back to where I was fairly quickly. I think that just kind of goes to show like after US championships, it's okay to take a week or a week and a half, to let your body rest, kind of come down mentally as well. That's like another thing, like mentally, I feel the best I've ever felt.
Wow.
Just like super refreshed because for so long it was just that day-to-day grind that was just the same exact schedule.
Yep.
And when you're in it, you don't really realize, but the quarantine allowed me to take a step back, kind of reset and, kind of create a plan for the next year. And I'm like super pumped to get going. And honestly, taking a break really helps with motivation as well because you look forward to getting back in the gym and you try and make every day count. So taking time off definitely helps.
Yeah. And I'm super guilty of this too. As a younger athlete, I just kind of followed that kind of grind mentality and that our culture just promotes like all the time, no matter what. Like we would have a week off for Christmas and like the holiday season, then maybe a week off after our last meet. But besides that, we were like 50 weeks a year, man. And it was like, until you step outside of it, you never realize that maybe there could be something different. And I'll just be honest with our gym. We're really considering doing the month after our end of our season every year and having a really long preseason, like maybe not competing till January and just competing January through May and seeing if maybe a shorter season, longer preseason and some time off might make people happier and less broken.
Yeah, definitely will help with injuries. I've also learned too, that there's a lot of things you can do like at your house or outside around your house that can keep you in shape. And for so long, it was like, okay, if I can't get into the gym and do ring strength today, I'm going to lose my progress. And it's like, no, there's so many ways to supplement strength, flexibility, endurance inside your apartment or around your neighborhood that you don't have to spend 6 hours in the gym every single day.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And when you guys were in college, how much time did you take off, say, after like national championships, like before? Because usually you have like exams and finals and stuff. Were you guys back in the next week, or did you guys take time?
So it was after NCAA's is all optional because we have finals.
Yep.
So a lot of people have to focus on that. But for a lot of the guys who wanted to be on the senior national team or were on the senior national team, it's like that next day they're in the gym working on new skills. And we're always taught that new skills are the easiest to learn right after season because
Mm.
you're physically in the best shape. So that's kind of where you pick up skills. And I do agree with that.
Yeah.
But on the mental side of it, you just finish long. It's okay to take a few days off.
Yeah.
Let your body rest, be a normal kid for once, and then hit it hard when you get back.
Yeah, absolutely. That's really good advice. And you raised something, another point I really wanted to talk to you about is, because we had talked before about like some lifting stuff and kind of like before the podcast, we were like, man, back in the day when I was 13, 14, that was like sacrilegious, never touch a weight ever. But I guess I'm curious about like what you're doing now that maybe you're complementing with, and knowing what you know now, would you change how you maybe trained in JOs starting from like maybe like 12 on? I think under 12 is probably just focus on gymnastics. Don't worry about anything. But I think like 12 up is really 12 to 18 is a huge opportunity to use some pieces of weightlifting and proper strength training. So just curious your thoughts on all that.
Yeah. I mean, like you said, when I was younger, we were kind of taught like you don't lift weights until you're older and you're all like developed. And I think the reason like you were taught that was they wanted to save your body. They didn't want you hurting. But lifting weights doesn't mean benching 305. Lifting weights can be single arm, dumbbell RDLs, working on dynamic strength, working on even just balance, coordination. It's a lot of like rehab stuff as well. And I wish I would have known a lot of what I know now and just been able to slowly implement it into my training during those important years, like you said, especially like 16, 15 to 18, where your body is like fully developing and, you're getting naturally stronger. Adding little things like that would have been super crucial.
Yeah, for sure. And I'll be the first to say that from the strength and conditioning point of view, if you're just a normal strength coach looking at gymnastics, there's a big opportunity to really screw that up. I think there is a lot of, unfortunately, strength coaches who don't really understand how unique the sport is. And they make programs that are like, we took the football players program and adapted it. Or like at a college, I've heard a lot of people who like, they work with like the volleyball team and the rugby team and the gymnastics team and kind of have similar programs. Yeah. That's a huge mistake. So like, there's definitely errors on that side. But that being said, I think a lot of when you get down to the bare bones of why people don't do it and you really drill down to their reasons, it's like, it's just the culture. There's no like scientific rationale. There's no really high level evidence to support what they're doing. Again, it's a piece of the puzzle. It should be like maybe 1 day per week, 2 days per week if you're a high level athlete, and start them at 12 with the super basics. And then by the time they're 14, they know how to not hurt themselves and you can monitor them and do it. I think it's one of the best things that gymnastics can ever do. And we were joking about this before the podcast is we have at Champion, we're lucky to have a lot of like high level JO and like college guys and girls that come in the summer. And like people are actively coming to our facility asking for our gymnastics programs and our strength programs and our performance program. Which is like 5 years ago, we started the program with like 10 kids and we were completely laughed at. We're not leaving practice. This is a joke. So it's crazy to see how things have changed in 5 years.
That's awesome. Yeah. And I would say like I started actually, so we lifted weights in college. We would do during preseason twice a week. So not too much, but it was really gymnastics like tailored. It was a lot of stuff that was specific to gymnastics. I didn't get into actual weightlifting until last year when we had a strength and conditioning coach at Oklahoma who really committed to kind of watching gymnastics, watching our practices, seeing what he could incorporate. And me and Alan Bauer got on a 4-month training plan with him. And the first month or two was super low weight, just learning how to lift, learning the positions, the techniques. And at first it was like, okay, this is super easy. Like this isn't really doing much, right? And then it's like 8 weeks hit and he was like, okay, we're bumping up the weights. Let's get after it. And those 2 months were the strongest I'd ever felt. And it was just incredible to see like my body change, get bigger, stronger, but also like stay lean. And I've incorporated so many of those exercises, for the past year, and I'm still doing them just because I feel like now it's such an important part of who I am as a gymnast and an athlete that like weightlifting for me has been an absolute blessing and
Yeah.
something that I've really grown to enjoy and be able to see the progress.
Yeah. And it's important to note that, like, I think it's really important for people to understand how periodization works and where this fits in the bigger program, because the pendulum swings too far, right? You learn about this in the benefits and you might put too much in your program and forget the gymnastics side of things. But like, yeah, like off season, the summers, right? Like the preseason here and there, that's like the perfect time to do it. But as you taper into preseason for routines and stuff, you got to pull back on that. And I would say we maintain some of that stuff with like some movements here and there, but we definitely don't do full days of general strength from like competition season on. It's like 6 months out of the year, we're probably not doing a lot of that heavier stuff. It's just all gymnastics. So there's a time and a place for it. You know what I mean? It's not just like every day you're going to do something. It's like there's a lot of other important pieces.
Exactly. That's why, like, for me right now, we don't have a competition until February. So now is like the perfect time to really prioritize training, like strength training, because I don't have to do routines in the gym right now. I don't have to get ready for a competition. And usually we don't have this much time. So right now, my biggest focus is getting stronger, getting more explosive, and just seeing the strength I can build over the next 3 to 4 months.
Yeah. And then I guess my last two questions on this is, a lot of people don't want to start this because they're worried about losing flexibility or getting hurt. Do you feel like you've had negative impacts on your flexibility because of lifting, or you feel like you're joints are more cranky, or no?
Not at all. Honestly, I actually feel like looser after a lift. I stretch a little bit before a lift, 10, 15 minutes. I'll hit my lift and then I'll do a nice 20 to 30 minute cool down, usually like a full gymnastics warm up. And honestly, I feel like that's like where I feel the best out of the day. I'm like, okay, I'm ready for practice right now.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, I got to wait 3 hours. Like, I'm ready.
No. The wall.
Yeah, I've never felt like tight or stiff or hurting. I think if you're doing that, you're either going too fast, you're not like warming up properly, or you're lifting too heavy.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest thing that I've learned, that it's not always about how many 45s you can, put on a bar. It's a lot of times about, a good amount of reps, doing good technique, and doing what you can afford to do, 3 or 4 sets.
Yep, for sure. Yeah. And it's crazy. It's another like, example of following the literature versus just following folklore. But people always say, like, if I lift, I'm going to get tight. But when you look at the research, eccentric, like slow tempo eccentrics, and like that's what we use a lot of for our gymnasts, like extended split squat range of motion or RDLs. They actually are one of the most supported things to actually increase muscle length, whereas regular stretching might not increase the length of muscles per se, but it will help with like making the muscle relax more. But weightlifting actually does have some support to do that. So it's actually, not only is it not true, it's probably the opposite, that we can actually get a benefit that way. And the other thing I would add too is, if someone's super sore, like you're cripplingly sore, you really got to look at your recovery, man. Like how much you sleeping, how much water you drinking, like what's your food profile look like, because that stuff can make way more of an influence than, how many sets you did and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that you're like one of the most disciplined I've heard about around that kind of stuff. So it's probably why you reap the benefits so much, because you're so locked in with sleeping and taking care of yourself and like doing that extra work. It goes a long way.
Yeah, it definitely does. I almost feel like recovery and the nutrition side of it is like a seventh event. Like you can't be an all-around gymnast without this. You're not going to be able to recover if you're, either not eating after practice or eating an unhealthy meal. And same with water. For me, I feel like when I don't drink a gallon of water, I notice I'm more sore. But when I hit the gallon or more, I feel like it just kind of gets out of me and it flushes me out. So that stuff is like a top priority for me, because I can't always control how my pommel horse workout goes. Or sometimes I miss the bar on high bar and, it's a bad day, but I can always control my water intake, my food intake. And I think when you take that seriously, that's when you start not missing the bar. That's when you have good pommel horse workouts.
Yeah. How did you get into more of that stuff, learning about that? We kind of had to cut it short when we did the charity one, but like, did you go to a nutritionist? Did you learn about it yourself? Did you have people in Oklahoma? Like, how did you get about that?
So in 2016, I went to US championships. At this point, diet wasn't a factor. I ate whatever I wanted, didn't worry about it. And at US championships, I hit 12 for 12. And I left the arena thinking I was going to make the senior national team for the very first time. And about 3 hours later, I got a phone call, said, hey, they didn't take you. They took so-and-so.
Yeah.
And I looked at the points in the all around and it looked like they skipped me. It was 14th place. And then me didn't make the team. 16th place made it.
Hmm.
So, you know, at that point I was like, okay, I'm going to prove them wrong. You
Hmm.
know, this next year is going to be, I'm going to give it my absolute everything in and outside of the gym. And I just like flipped the switch on diet and was like, okay, I'm eating all healthy foods. I'm researching, I'm going to read about, you know, what the body needs. And, you know, there was, you know, hard times along the way. Maybe I was doing this wrong,
Yeah.
but, you know, slowly I just learned what works for me, what works for my body. And, you know, now we are 3 years later and I feel like I got it down. Like
Hmm.
I know exactly what I need before, after, and throughout the day to keep me going.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's been a lot of trial and error, but a lot just like reading, listening to podcasts,
Yeah.
looking at like what other professional athletes eat. So I never like specifically went out to anybody,
Yep.
but just kind of trial and error.
Yeah. That's awesome. And I mean, I have to like, you skipped over something so important. Is like when you had that news that you didn't make it, the first thing you did was say, okay, it's me. I'm going to do everything I can. I
Yep.
can't tell you how many people's first reaction is like, they're out to get me. It's their fault. Screw them. And they just blame, point. And I can't think of a better like metaphor to have that as what's going on in gymnastics right now with everything, man, our culture, our training practices, adopting weightlifting. Like if the first thing you do is point fingers at everybody else instead of saying, what can I do? Then you need to have a very hard look in the mirror.
Exactly. True. And like it was for me, it was the first time I ever hit 12 for
Yeah.
12 and didn't reach my goals.
Yeah.
You know, I'd been younger and let's say I didn't reach my goal, it was because I fell or I didn't have a good competition. You know, I never had that. I did everything I could have and flat out wasn't good enough. So I've always been a hard worker in the gym. So I was like, there's got to be more.
Yep.
You know, I've got to do more outside of the gym. I have to prioritize diet, nutrition, sleeping, recovery. I got to do all of this if I want to reach my goals. And, you know, 1 year later, I ended up sixth place in the all around and was automatically placed on the national team. There was no selection. So that was like, that's probably one of the coolest gymnastics moments for me because, you know, I didn't just keep doing the exact same thing. I changed, I worked, I progressed. And, you know, 1 year later, I reached my goal.
Yeah, which is crazy because had you graduated Oklahoma then in 2016? I forget.
2016, I just finished my junior year. So
Yeah.
in 2017, I just finished my senior year.
Which is crazy. You think about how much gymnastics you had done, how much training you had done to be a junior at Oklahoma, one of the best programs, and you still were like, man, I have so much that I can improve upon. Like that's pretty incredible.
Yep. Yeah,
And then,
I look back and I almost want to like slap myself, you know, for what I did my freshman, sophomore, junior year in college. Not that it was like super unhealthy, but
yeah.
you know, I just wish I would have found this more, like found things to improve my actual gymnastics rather than just gymnastics, the things outside of the gym.
Yep.
But better late than never.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, this is a little bit of a tangent, but something I've been thinking a lot about is like, I feel like people don't really change or have an incentive to change unless there's some like emotional catalyst like that. Like it takes like getting punched in the face by a competition like that for you to be like, oh, I have to do this. Like there's probably been tons of moments where you're like, I'll just like let it go. But like, I noticed that a lot of high level athletes is like, they need a gut check like that to be like, all right, this sucks. I'm going to change that. And I feel like people shy away from some of that discomfort. Sometimes they want to like, you know, coddle people and protect them. But like a healthy dose of failure or a healthy dose of something not going your way is a really good motivator, man.
Definitely. I often think like, what happens if they would have taken me?
Ooh.
And I would have been that last spot for the senior national team. I would have been able to go to Olympic trials, compete. Where would I be right now? And I don't think I would be a world team member. I don't think I would be an Olympic hopeful because I would have said, okay, I reached my goal. Everything I'm doing is working. And I would have stayed in that, you know, 12 to 15 range. But because of that placement and I didn't make it, you know, that fueled me to say, okay, no more. Never again am I doing my job in the gym and not reaching my goal.
Yeah, that's crazy, right? Like, don't leave it in the hands of the judges ever again, right?
Yep. It's like Chris Brooks. He told me, be so good they can't deny you.
Yeah.
And that's the mentality for, you know, this next year.
That's awesome. Well, perfect segue. Yeah. What's the plan now moving forward? It sounds like you're kind of getting your ducks in a row and you'll start doing half sets and routines and stuff. Is it like just full throttle till February? Is it like trying to pull back, push forward? Like what's in store?
So right now my priority is basically getting stronger, increasing my endurance on a few events, and also finalizing those skills that weren't quite ready for Winter Cup, but I intended to do for US Championships and Olympic trials.
Yep.
So kind of all three of those combinations. So that way when, October, November comes and we start ramping up for full routines and getting into that cycle for February for Winter Cup, I'm in the best shape of my life.
Yep.
And that way I can cruise into Winter Cup, have a little bit of a come down, go to international meets if I get assignments, and then ramp back up to Olympic trials.
Yeah.
So right now it's mentally not stressful. It's more physical and just like laying the base, laying that foundation for when we start routines, when gymnastics really starts picking up. Like I said, I'm in the very best shape of my life, and everything is going to ideally be easier for me.
Yeah, for sure. And kind of like, I should have noticed this before, I said it before, but the other thing I was curious about is I feel like you picked up a running like habit, like during the quarantine and stuff like that. And there's a huge still debate that like gymnasts shouldn't do anything longer than like 10, 15 minutes because it's going to ruin your cardio endurance for skills and sprints and stuff like that. So people just do repeat sprints. But again, the literature supports a good aerobic base is super helpful for not only repeat sprints, which is what gymnastics is, full body, but also just to get through a practice. Like, so had you done long cardio prior to like this, and had it been good or bad? And then now, do you feel like I think you ran a half marathon, right? Like, has that helped you at all for congrats, by the way, but has that helped you get back in the gym with your endurance?
So I think overall, like endurance, it has helped, and just like, staying lean, staying in good shape. I don't know if it directly correlates to me having more endurance on pommel horse.
Yeah.
But for me, the biggest thing, and one of the biggest reasons I still love running, is it's that mental game, right?
Yeah.
It's you're running, you've done, 4 miles, and you told yourself you're going to do 6. Nobody's telling me to run 6 miles. Nobody's following me along and tracking me, but I owe it to myself to do what I said I was going to do. And I've really just learned that you keep picking your feet up and you just keep going, you just don't stop. And so I've really incorporated that into my training when I said, okay, I've done, 6 of these skills. I don't think I'm going to get to 10 today. Like, no, go do it, and it's just that like mental toughness that I felt like I built over the quarantine, that no matter how tired I am, no matter, how sore I am, no matter how scared I am, I'm going to be able to get it done because I told myself I would do it. And so for me, that's been like the coolest part, because I've literally felt this transformation in like my mind where I love the mornings where I wake up and I don't want to run, because I'm like, this is an opportunity to get mentally stronger. And it's the same with gymnastics. I told myself I was going to do 3 casinas today. I'm up there. I'm nervous. I'm scared. I don't want to do it. I told myself I was going to do it, get it done. Yep. And for me, that's been like the most helpful part.
Yeah.
As well as just staying in like really good shape. Running burns tons of calories, keeps you lean, keeps you strong. And I've also noticed that my legs have gotten more toned over the past 3 to 4 months. I've always had like really big and strong legs, and that makes ring strength harder. It makes flow and vault easier, but I've noticed that my legs have gotten a little bit leaner, toner, and that's just going to help on rings, pommel horse, P-bars. So
yeah, absolutely. Well said. And I think it's just like the strength and conditioning conversation with lifting versus gymnastics, is like sprinkling in some longer aerobic base work in the summer or the off season is just a tool to help you then become a better sprinting athlete. So like everyone listening should think about learning and investing in why, there's a lot of really good scientific benefits from heart and lung stuff, mitochondrial density, that like you can use then in an anaerobic setting to like, go crazy for 90 seconds. Like, so if you use that as a base and transition it to regular sprint work in the preseason, it's incredible how much people can get very specific adaptations that you want and feel like $1 million when they get to season, versus like, just doing these long slog. Like I see it so many times, man, is like these like 30-minute circuits in the middle of competition season just to make people sweaty and tired. And it's like, man, what are we doing here? You got to think more critically here. Exactly. Yep. But back to what we're talking about, 21. So kind of come down, dip up for Olympic trials. Do you think it's going to be like a upgrade situation halfway through? Or are you just going to get your skills for Winter Cup and ride those out? Are you going to try to just perfect stuff? Like, what's the game plan there?
So the game plan is to get everything that I want to do at Olympic trials, I want to do at Winter Cup. Do at Winter Cup, see how it goes, and then be able to make adjustments for upcoming international competitions and then Olympic trials. I don't want to go into Olympic trials, never have competed at Casino or never done a new ring set. I want to know, okay, I did this 6 months ago. It worked or it didn't work. We fixed it or we just improved it. And now we're ready to go hit 24 for 24. So, I'm willing to sacrifice, being super, super ready for Winter Cup and like hitting 100%. I'd rather have my mistakes there if I'm going to have them on the new skills than at Olympic trials. So the game plan is we're going all out for Winter Cup so we can see how everything's working and then adjust the plan moving forwards.
Nice. And what does that look like the next 6 months? Do you try to have full sets and routines done 2 months ahead, 3 months ahead? Like, are you still sprinkling stuff in up until like 6 weeks? Like, what's that look like?
I like to be prepared early. It just helps me knowing, for me, like 2 months out, I want to be able to hit all my routines. And then it's just, doing numbers over and over again in the gym. So your body has that muscle memory. I don't like, being 2 weeks out saying, man, I wish I had more time. I want it to be 2 weeks out saying like, I wish it was today. So that's the game plan. Kind of by the time we have Christmas break, I want to be in very, very good routine shape. So then the rest of all of January and a little bit of February can just be perfecting the routines and just doing numbers to kind of, like I said, get that muscle memory.
Yeah, absolutely. Not to mention is you want to be able to taper yourself a little bit, the 2 to 3 weeks leading up to Winter Cup. You don't want to be like pushing your needle into red zones like a week or two off. You need to give your body a break.
Exactly. This last Winter Cup was a somewhat stressful situation. January was really rough for me. I got sick with the flu. That took me out for a full week. And then the next week, just as I was coming back and started to feel better towards the end of the week, I hurt my wrist on a Healy on P-bars, and that took me out 2 to 3 weeks. So I literally didn't like train in January pretty much at all, other than like 2 to 3 days. And so then I had 2 weeks to just like push hard before Winter Cup. And it was like, am I going to be ready? And that was an unfortunate situation and an unfortunate month, but I definitely don't want that to happen, if I can control it. I want to be, when February 1 hits, I want to be ready. Say, it's Winter Cup month. Let's do this.
Yeah, that's sweet, man. And then, I guess from there, it's just we're going to see what competitions fall out and where we go, right? Where we go leading up to the Olympics. But you were talking a lot about the fact that you're kind of trying to document some of this stuff and you're trying to pick up a new YouTube channel. Like, what's up with that? Are you just going to like wear a GoPro at all times?
No, so I actually just invested and I bought a really nice camera. My girlfriend does a lot of photography and graphic design stuff, so she helped me pick out a good camera, and I just started filming. My first YouTube video comes out June 28th, which was supposed to be day 2 of Olympic trials. So essentially, this YouTube channel, at least the start of it, is going to be documentation of my 1-year journey and my relentless pursuit to making the Olympic team. So there's going to be a lot of things incorporated with it, but you are going to basically get to see all of the behind the scenes stuff. You're going to get to see the hardest worker in this country and get to see everything that I do on a daily basis: strength training, endurance, nutrition, playing with my dogs, and gymnastics. And I think another cool thing, like why I really wanted to create this for a long time, and I'm glad it's finally happening, is so many people only get to see us compete like 2 times a year. And when they do, they see that final finished, polished product. They don't always get to see the buildup, doing halves, putting the new skills in, your first hit routine with the new skills. And I want to be able to show gymnastics fans more gymnastics, and also people who just like sports, like fitness, like nutrition, that gymnastics is a super cool and intense sport that takes a lot. It's not just flipping around a bar, for 3 or 4 hours a day. It's a full-time job to be at this level. So I'm super pumped for it. I think a lot of people are going to get a lot out of it. And, I'm just really excited to see where it goes.
Yeah, that's awesome. I got freaking goosebumps when you were talking about that, man. That's going to be killer. Are you gonna film all this stuff yourself, or is somebody else going to do it? I'm worried about your camera and chalk. I'm not going to lie.
I literally took the camera into the gym yesterday for the first time, and it got all chalky. I brought it back, and my girlfriend was like, "What did you do?" This is such a nice camera because she's like handling it like super carefully, and I have chalk and honey, and I'm like setting it up. So we're gonna have to figure something out.
I think you can get a remote. I think you can get a remote.
That would be nice.
I feel like most cameras these days either have an external remote or your phone can double as a remote, and you can like do it all. Because you don't want to be getting honey in the lens. That would not go well.
I'll have to look into it. I got it. I started filming some things, and I was like, I got to take it in the gym. Got to get some good footage. And day one, I already got some awesome footage. Like nice. I've never really been into photography or like videoing, but like, man, this is really cool. This is going to be awesome.
That's sweet. That's awesome. So is it going to all be only YouTube, or is there other stuff you're going to put it out on like podcast form or anything else?
I haven't thought about that. Maybe podcast form as well, but to start, just YouTube.
Yeah, make your life. I mean, you're clearly going to have a lot to do. You're going to be very probably busy with training the next year. So the least friction available, the better. And then find someone to edit for you. So maybe you can take some time off your hands.
Yeah.
That's pretty sweet, man. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to watching. That's kind of all I got in my mind right now. Is there anything else that's on your mind that you want to talk about? Or you think is really cool to drop by?
Not really. Yeah, just plugging along.
Yeah. What's your advice for those young bloods that are in the gym right now that are trying to get back into it? Because I think the world is crawling back to whatever our new normal is going to be. And I think there's a lot of younger JO gymnasts that are on the struggle bus physically and mentally right now.
Yeah, definitely. I would say the biggest two pieces of advice I could give is one, slow and steady wins the race. So if you jump in, you're feeling good, maybe this is week 1 to 4 for you, don't use all of your energy on Monday and Tuesday just because you feel great, because you want it to last the whole week, right? So, work hard when you're in the gym, but progress over the week. That way you can consistently get better, consistently build and get back to where you were or even better. And the next piece of advice is, especially this time where we don't have to do routines, we have no mental stress from competitions. Try and focus on the little things, that don't take too much energy, that aren't going to make you super tired. And that can be really focusing on flexibility when you warm up. That can be really working on your preconditioning. Or for me, it's been just working on my handstand position for 10 minutes every day. So I'll either get to the gym early and I'll do just handstand work, or I'll stay 10 minutes after. And for me, it's like, that's something that no matter how practice went, no matter how I feel, I can get a little bit better each day. And if you slowly start to incorporate things like that, in 6 months when you're back to competing, you're going to be able to notice those little things that you did on the day-to-day basis, and it's going to improve your gymnastics. So sometimes we want to learn the release. We want to learn, a new vault, but spending some time working on a handstand position or strengthening your core is actually going to have a bigger impact on your gymnastics and your actual all-around scores than getting on the bar on Monday when you're super energized and doing 10 releases and then you're tired for the rest of the week. So it's the little things that are going to pay off in the end.
Yeah, absolutely right. Like the running joke of like 1% better. If you got a 1% raise every day for a whole year, you'd be pretty pumped with 365% more money at the end of the year.
Exactly. And that's like the perfect, that is exactly what I'm trying to do right now. Every single day, I'm trying to get a little bit better. And over the next 6 months, I get a little bit better every day. I'm not even going to recognize the gymnast I am.
Absolutely, man. Yeah. And the other thing too, it just popped into my mind. I think the cool thing about the vlog, I've always respected people who are doing a vlog authentically. Like there's one version of a vlog, or even with me and stuff, that's like, you just see like the icing on the cake surface level of like only good things. It's the highlight reel. It's the beautiful puppies and rainbows, right? But I think the best vlogs, and you'll probably have a really good way to do this, is like they show the crappy parts. They show like I don't really want to go to the gym today, or like I'm super tired. Yeah. Like I'm really bummed right now. So like when you kind of get into that realm of like behind the scenes, I think, and that's like the most respect I have for people. So I hope to see some of that,
Definitely. Like the intro video is going to be, like I said, it's just going to be explaining what the vlog is about, who I am, so people can get to know me. But when we get into a day in the life, or, a 2-day training vlog, if my 2-day training is awful and I can't do anything, you are going to see that. I'm not going to start over and say, actually, we're going to do next, 2-day training block. No, you're going to see it. Or if I'm talking about, endurance run, and I'm showing a 10-mile run, what I eat before, what I eat after, how I'm getting ready, stretching, things like that, and I run super slow and I'm not feeling good, I'm not going to scratch the video and say, we'll do it next week when I get a faster time. You're going to see the good and the bad. And I, like you said, I want to be authentic with it so people can really get to know me, get a behind the scenes look of how I'm progressing for the Olympic team. And that way, when day 2 of Olympic trials comes and, I make that final video before we hear the names called, people are going to say, I saw everything he went through.
Yeah.
I was like watching him go through it, and, I'm rooting for him to make the Olympic team. And that's kind of like what I want to show, the journey.
That's super cool. Yeah. And also think about how cool it would be, like, it all goes well, perfect, like everything you want. I'm sure, like, look at 10 years, you look back on that, you can watch like the entire clip about, like, dang, that was quite a year right there.
Yeah, I was thinking about that too, because there's so many times where we're so focused on just like getting better every day and like our daily schedule, what we have to do, that we don't ever really get time to like stop and think about like how cool it is what we're doing. And like just the opportunity to go compete for an Olympic team is everything I dreamed of. So, whether it works out or not, I'm able to look back at the videos and say, hey, I gave it my all. I did everything I possibly could have. And look how cool this journey was of me working for my goal, fighting for my dream. And, it's going to be awesome to look back on for me personally.
Yeah, it's really cool too. And it's funny you mentioned that. Yes, I knew we had to get it in there. Is that Luna?
This is Blue.
Blue. I feel like we would have been, I would have had some very serious hater email if I hadn't have gotten a shot.
That is true.
He or she?
And we got Luna right here.
Yes, man. I want a dog so bad. I want a husky so bad.
Huskies are the best.
Especially if you're hot with their fur.
What?
They get really hot with their fur, or no? That's what I get worried about.
Honestly, it's not too bad.
Good.
Like, they definitely have a little bit more energy when it's cooler, but it's not like they're like dying in the heat.
Yeah. What was I talking about before I got dramatically thrown off by the dogs? Oh, yeah. So one thing that I think has come out of quarantine, especially, I mean, this is sports, but definitely gymnastics, is like a crazy amount of gratitude and perspective around the ability to do gymnastics and how much we maybe take it for granted. Like I know for sure the end of the year for me, I was like starting to get a little burnt out. I was starting to get a little tired. And a lot of the girls that I work with, a lot of the athletes at our clinic and stuff were just like, ugh, like it's a grind. I don't want to do it. And then like snap of a fingers, you have no more gymnastics, right? And like, oh yeah, this is a choice. Yep. This is a what's it called? Like a extracurricular activity. This is not an essential part of my life. And I think so many people, sports included, have been like, whoa, I took it for granted for a long time. And it's changed a lot of perspective, which is really good.
I was feeling that a little bit just after Winter Cup, especially, like I said, I had the sickness, I got hurt, and it was like a rush to get back. And Winter Cup was a really intense competition. I think this was probably the best Winter Cup we've had, since I've been in the senior scene. And it was just a battle to make the senior national team. And after that, I was kind of like, man, I am tired. And I know the next 6 months are going to be an absolute grind. Like mentally, I wasn't out of it, but I was just beat down. I was worn down. And then the coronavirus hit and, you went from here and just boom, came all the way down. And now it's like, I am so ready for the next year. Like I'm so ready to get to work. So I think it is, it was hard to see when we were all locked down and couldn't go to the gym, but now it's like, maybe it was a blessing in disguise.
Yeah. I've been thinking a lot about that, man, for sure. And it's obviously you remove health, family, like obviously the economic fallout and the actual people who have lost their lives. Like everybody's obviously thinking about them and it's terrible. But at the same time, once you get past that factor, I think the best way that somebody put it, I don't know where, but it's like, maybe this is the pause that society needed. Maybe this is the pause that we all needed to really reevaluate. Where am I spending my money and my time? What do I really value? Am I spending all my time and effort on things that don't matter, like social media and what these people think of me? And am I leading a life where I hate this job? I had so many people that I know that were like furloughed or laid off from their job. And they're like, this is like the best opportunity to start like my own side business that I've wanted to do about like, I don't know, drums for my 10 years. And so maybe there's a lot of good to come out of this. Maybe the whole fallout with pushing the Olympics back and giving people some more time will make people develop new skills, and it'll be an amazing Olympics when we get there because people are really revved up.
Yeah. And I was even thinking over the quarantine. So like for me, gymnastics is all I've done. It's all I've done since I was a kid. And at this point in my life, it's who I am. I'm a gymnast. And for those 2 to 3 months when I wasn't a gymnast and I didn't have gymnastics, I really took a look and was like, okay, what can I do to still enjoy my life, outside of the gym? I can't just sit around in my apartment for 2, 3 months, doing nothing,
Yeah.
So I started going out and doing things that I normally don't get to do. We have a little lake right by my apartment. And just like today, I went out for a 30-minute walk. I drank my coffee. I watched like the birds fly over. It was super nice. And, that's something that I started doing when I was in quarantine. I would take a lot of walks. I would go find cool places. And I would take my dogs. And I never did that before. And now it's like, that really makes me happy. It's fun. It's relaxing. And, just little things like that I would never have gotten to, I guess, try or experience if I didn't have a lockdown. I really enjoy doing now.
Yeah, it's crazy you say that about the walks too, because like I had always been the same way. It's like when I'm fitnessing, I'm going hard, and when I'm not, I'm not. There's no in between. And so I was a little bit worried about obviously like joint health and like getting hurt if I dove back into a long run. But I just went for like a long 30-minute walk down to like we have like a local beach in our park, and it was just crazy to just like walk, and like nobody was out. It was like 6 in the morning. It was completely still, but like not even anybody. Like this is crazy just to like walk around and be like, oh, all right, this is pretty fun. We don't have like a lot of hiking opportunities unless you drive, but it's pretty wild.
It's nice being active without like actively pursuing getting better. Like when I run, I'm trying to get faster, or I'm trying to put a certain amount of miles in my feet. When I walk, I can just enjoy moving, enjoy being active, while also enjoying the sunset or the sunrise, or trying to find turtles by the lake. Little things like that that are just enjoyable, that aren't like physically taxing your body.
Yeah, like non-purposeful, right? Like you don't have a goal, you don't have an objective, you don't have a little voice in the back of your head being like, you should go faster, you should go faster.
Yeah. It's just a walk. And there's even been a few times where I've gone out for a walk and then I've started running.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, man, this is taking forever. I want to go. But I did that the other day. I was just supposed to go for a little loop and I get halfway through it and I'm like, I gotta go. Like I gotta run, But when I do end up actually just walking, it is very peaceful, relaxing, and I enjoy it.
Yeah. I wonder if after your gymnastics career moves on, you'll have that with just normal fitnessing and working out. Like I have that luxury too now. Like I stopped competing a long time ago, but like I can have an hour just to like lift and listen to music and hang out. Like it's quite a different thing when you're not intentionally trying to like go crazy.
Yep. I think eventually I'll get to that point, but it's when I'm done with gymnastics, I want to do an Ironman. I want to run marathons. An ultra marathon has always like intrigued me. I know it sounds crazy, but I don't think I'm going to be like taking, a super crazy like rest and doing nothing. I want to still go hard when I'm younger. I want to see how far I can push my body and like what I can accomplish. So the year after the Olympics, I'm going to run an Ironman. I'm going to do a marathon and, train for an ultra.
That's awesome. And yeah, ultra is banana stuff. I ran a marathon last year as like I was terrified of it, to be honest. Like it was like I was long distance swimming and I was like, this sucks. I hate swimming. I was like, I'm really avoiding is running. And I ran when I crawled my way through it, but like it was I don't even know. I think I saw like a different realm. I was like hallucinating by the end. So like it really, after I did that, when you run 800 meters in a workout, you're like, I'm not gonna do anything right now. You know what I mean? It's a crazy perspective shift.
I actually signed up for a half marathon on October 4th, the Oklahoma City Memorial half marathon, just because all of this running, I want to do something with it, actually have an official race. So I'm kind of just excited to like see how it works, see how the race goes, just something to do, and it'll be fun.
Yeah. Have you swam a lot? If you like ever have you done like long distance swimming?
I've only swam like in a pool, like done laps back and forth, but never like in the ocean. That's going to be a challenge.
I usually just fill my bathtub up. That's like my swim. Open water swimming actually I think that might be my number one fear. I'm not gonna lie. I think open water swimming, like I have a lake house that I'm fortunate with my family, so I've like gone in a long lake swim, but like full rapids, man, choppy currents, like that's a whole different ball game.
Yeah, that's tough. My dad's ran a bunch of marathons, I think 6 marathons, and he always wanted to do an Ironman, but the swimming, he was like, I don't think I can swim 2 miles. And that definitely would be the most challenging part.
Yeah, my buddies, two of my best friends from school are actually, they do a lot of biking now. They transitioned to biking, I guess, from running and stuff. But they've done some sprint tries, which I don't know the distance on those, but actually in like a month, they're gonna bike from where I live here in Boston to Maine, and I'm gonna follow them with a car and like keep them safe. But it's like 100 miles they're trying to do to our lake house. So she's like,
Wow.
crazy, man. That's
Yeah.
ridiculous. So we'll see how that goes. It might be a 1 day trip, just 20 miles out and 20 miles to the hospital, but we'll see how it goes. Yeah, man. Well, this is sweet. Good to catch up and hear about the vlog and all that stuff. But
Yep.
we're all rooting for you, bro. Me in particular. I'm gonna watch all the vlogs and I'll definitely be pushing them out to people. So if you need anything on that, just let me know.
I appreciate it.
All right, dude. Keep in touch, all right?
Will do.
All right.
All right. Take care, man.
Later. I'm just gonna pause that.